Dzień dobry Państwu.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Goździewski, and I have classes with students at this academy on a daily basis. I see some of them, which I'm very happy about, and I'm delighted to meet with you all. The meeting I'd like to dedicate to the topic of psycho-emotional preparation for performances. This is a very important topic. No less important than issues related to interpretation, preparation, practice processes, or the entire process of working on a piece. We devote ourselves for a shorter or longer period of time. In any case, the topic of mental resilience and effective functioning on stage seems to me to be insufficiently present in the dialogue space. And why such a topic? Because the entire process of our independent work with the instrument, reading the piece, mastering technical elements, memorizing musical material, delving into architectural emotional structures, or considering interpretative aspects, is directed towards the moment of presenting the results of our work as a whole. That is the stage performance. I believe it's worth spending a few words on this topic today. It often happens, as we know, that exceptionally talented and highly sensitive individuals, often endowed with great musical intelligence, lose many merits of their hard and very honest work when confronted with stage fright. I think each of us knows people about whom we could say such things. Perhaps such reflections or thoughts have accompanied or still accompany many of us. This fear, as I mentioned earlier, is as important as development work on instrumental technique, imagination or musical intelligence. What good is it then if after practicing diligently throughout the semester and achieving all our goals, we realize that the reality encountered on stage is so different from what we thought about our level of preparation before the concert? The problem affects everyone who appears on stage to a greater or lesser extent. Of course, every musician experiences their presence on stage differently. Some are not affected by stage fright at all. However, this is a relatively small percentage of musicians. In most cases, even the greatest artists are accompanied by stage fright. And the best method to limit the negative effects on stage will be the proper, tried and tested selection of performance preparation methods, as well as continual deepening experience. However, we have no basis to say that one is either a stage lion or not. There are individuals whom stage fright paralyzes to such an extent that they cannot control the instrument, derive pleasure from making music. However, in most cases, we can build and shape stage resilience. This is incredibly reassuring. By using a variety of methods and tools, through persistent self-work and an ongoing need for development, we develop control skills and can develop stage competencies that enable us to achieve artistic freedom in challenging conditions. Before I say a few words about what methods we can use to develop our stage resilience, it may be worth saying a few words about what awaits us on stage. As performers, we are aware of the magnitude of the challenge posed by public performance, knowing that it differs significantly from the conditions in which we work with the instrument on a daily basis. During a concert, exam, or competition, we are aware of the presence of many psychological factors such as stress, which can lead to physical tension affecting technical freedom, or psychological tension affecting interpretive freedom. Increased heart rate affecting the sense of time and tempo during performance, as well as fear of memory lapses, which have a very negative impact on playing freedom, affecting both security of play and stripping it of spontaneity or improvisation. Another unpleasant psychological element that may confront us on stage is the limitation of our ability to control our own bodies. In any case, different reactions of muscles and joints than those we know. Facing these psychophysical factors is somewhat inherent in the nature of our profession. Nowadays, every young aspiring pianist is required to have contact with stage and to verify their skills, as evidenced by the enormous number of piano competitions taking place all over the world. It's certain that increasing experience with a given repertoire contributes to the reducing negative effects of stress during live performance. Getting used to stage conditions to a large extent through constant contact with it results in the ability to predict our body's reactions and deepens our ability to control it during performance. Rehearsing plays an absolutely crucial role in preparing for a musical performance in an exam or competition. It's very valuable in terms of checking memorization, conditioning, and technical skills, which affect playing freedom and interpretation quality. This is a truism. However, it's worth emphasizing that the benefits of assessing one's preparation status before an important performance cannot be replaced by any other method of practice. I would like to quote a few words from Garrick Olson's interview, River, conducted with the artist by Kamila Stępień-Kutera. It's hard for young pianists to understand how it's possible to play Beethoven in 1 week, Rachmaninoff in the next, and then Chopin and Mozart in the following ones. I always answer that after the first 100 times it gets easier. When you're a conservatory student learning one concerto at a time, it may be the peak of your abilities at the moment. In essence, you are learning to play, teaching your body, the instrument, the principles of its operation, getting to know the processes that occur in your mind. Then, when you've played the concert once and go back to practicing, you start to discover that there are elements in the piece that no longer require attention, something you simply have and those that come out weakly. This is how an outstanding concert pianist, the winner of the Chopin competition, sees the issue. But what about those who are just gaining experience and looking for methods to work on the mental aspect of the performance? Fortunately, there are mental techniques that can help prepare for stage performance. Here are a few of them. One of the techniques I most willingly use in the process of preparing for an important concert, exam, or competition is visualization of being on stage. Usually, on the eve of an important performance, in a seated or lying position, fully focused, I arouse the feelings that will accompany me during the concert. I visualize the final words of the host, applause, the moment of stepping onto the stage, the moment of concentration, or finally, performing the entire repertoire until stepping off the stage. During this visualization, I try to control all memory components simultaneously, especially visual and muscular ones, as well as the musical text, the so-called scrolling of the graphical score correlated with melodic and harmonic memory. Of course, in the case of a full, hour-long or even 90-minute recital, this is quite time-consuming and even exhausting, because immersing oneself in similar tension to that of the stage and maintaining it for such a long time is a significant energy effort. However, I consider it necessary to undergo such a procedure on the eve of the concert in the process of preparing for what may await me on the stage. This technique can also be successfully applied in a psychological context. I'm talking about the visualization of success, imagining a successful performance in detail from beginning to end, which can help build self-confidence and reduce stress. Positive affirmations such as repeating positive and empowering sentences like I am ready, I can do it, I can handle the task entrusted to me should also complement the visualization of success. Additionally, focus on our strengths and achievements. This further contributes to building self-confidence and progressively reducing anxiety. Relaxation, breathing exercises, concentration exercises through meditation. On the day of the concert, it's also worth planning time for rest. In the case of performances taking place late in the afternoon or evening, if possible, I try to find at least 1 hour during the day for body relaxation. Not focusing my thoughts on the upcoming performance, rather trying to completely clear my mind of stage fright, resting by listening to the length of breath and consciously oxygenating the body. The ability to control breathing is extremely important during a performance. Deep oxygenation of the body makes brain function more efficient. Already behind the scenes, while waiting to go on stage, it's worth checking the level of relaxation of our muscles by, for example, making a few swings. It's also worth working on and strengthening brain concentration. On the other hand, I found incredibly inspiring the strategies for dealing with excessive stress that I discovered after reading Viktor Frankl's book, Man's in Search for Meaning, which I heartily recommend to you all. A wonderful read in which you can find many answers to pressing questions. The author describes his memories from the Auschwitz concentration camp, showing a range of paradigms and self-improvement methods that, in his opinion, kept him alive and desiring to live despite the horrific reality. In the second part of his book, devoted to logotherapy, Frank, with almost journalistic zeal, defines a range of existential problems such as neuroses, anxiety states, or emotional emptiness. Of course, Frank's techniques and insights belong to psychiatric issues, but to some extent, part of what we can read in this book and much wisdom can be transferred to the ground of our stage experiences. Two such techniques, two strategies that sparked my great interest are primarily paradoxical intention and de-reflection. Paradoxical intention is a strategy used in psychiatry for certain disorders, such as anxiety disorders. It contains the word paradox not by chance. As it turns out, exaggeration and excess neutralize both fears and beliefs. Although Frank created this technique many years ago, it's still successfully used today. Frank discovered that when we command ourselves to behave in a way we wouldn't want to, then the desire for such behavior disappears without a trace. Let's imagine a situation when we can't laugh. It's inappropriate. But if we try to restrain ourselves at all costs, we'll achieve the opposite effect. We'll burst into laughter. If you want to laugh, the desire will immediately pass. A case of a patient is described in the literature who sweated so much that he couldn't cope with it. The therapist not only forbade him to wipe them, but also wanted the patient to produce enough sweat to, for example, water flowers. The patient recovered. What can we do with paradoxical intention? If we feel anxious about an exam, examination board, competition, we can try to already instill in ourselves the belief that we can't wait for this performance. that we can share beautiful music with the board, with the jurors. We will play beautifully, and the jurors will enjoy listening to wonderful performances. Another very interesting technique by Frank is dereflection. Dereflection is a way of dealing with excessive focus on the self and states of hyperreflection or excessive desire. It's used to divert attention from experiences, especially when they are the source of a person's problems. The reflection stemming from existential analysis has also found application in other therapeutic approaches. It can be particularly useful for those who need confirmation of their ability to achieve their goals, to show themselves, to overshadow aesthetic desires, and to adopt the serving attitude towards art. The desire to perform programs in the best possible way may turn out to be a paralyzing factor in the search for and exploration of beauty. I must admit that I myself sometimes apply elements of this technique in relation to my performances. Several years of education, largely based on setting ambitious goals, the need for constant artistic development, and pushing the boundaries of my capabilities, leave a mark on the psyche of a performer. Before an important performance, which I indeed prepare for diligently and honestly, but which naturally generates fear of failure, I sometimes ask myself questions that at their core relieve at least some of the burden from my shoulders. Is it not better to divert my attention from the need for excessive perfectionism and ask whether I am a surgeon, whether human life depends on my performance, or, even more loftily, whether if I play a wrong note, the world will split in half? I wholeheartedly recommend the reflection. It is very effective. I would like to say a few more words about complementary techniques that also have a beneficial impact on achieving an optimal emotional state. Mindfulness. In Polish literature, it's often replaced with the word uważność. Mindfulness as a concept is a state of conscious focus on the sensations experienced in the present moment, fully surrendering to the current experience without analyzing or judging. We can achieve a state of mindfulness at any moment. It's enough that we completely focus on the present moment. Practicing mindfulness can help reduce stress and increase self-awareness during performances. Another interesting perspective in working on stage resilience is using imagination for control, incorporating elements of visualization, as I mentioned. Imagining stressful situations and attempting to apply appropriate mechanisms to cope with them in the realm of imagination brings a good effect in terms of preparing for what may happen on stage and reacting more efficiently to the reality encountered there. For example, better coping with real challenges during performances. With regular practice of these techniques, one can achieve better control over their emotions and more efficient utilization of potential during stage performances. Approaching slowly the conclusion, I would like to say a few more words about the mindset towards the demands that the profession of musician imposes on us. Facing the work on ourselves and our relationship with the instrument, sooner or later, we realize that stress cannot be avoided. It accompanies every action, or rather every action taken, always. The amount of stress we are willing to experience depends on how focused our ambitions are. We can withdraw, give up on goals we want to achieve. But we can also say that stress is okay. I just need to think about how I can deal with it. So either we take the risk and elevate our lives and skills to a new level, or we don't take that risk and nothing changes in our lives. A few conclusions drawn from this. Stress is natural and unavoidable in today's world. Let's accept it and dare to act despite it. Stress arises when something significant happens. It is energy that we can utilize, and experiencing stress teaches us and strengthens us. Another revealed truth by 𝗏𝗏 𝐃𝐙 is a statement that stage fright is inversely proportional to the degree of preparation. I often repeat to my students and pupils who fear memory lapses. 𝗏𝗏 words. Divert attention from superficial fears by fully immersing yourself in the content you want to convey. If you manage to achieve the ultimate stage of engagement in music, if you become fully devoted to art, you will not find time and space for destructive thoughts. On the other hand, another quote from the world of piano performance that I equally enjoy is this thought: certainty is the prerequisite for achieving freedom. Therefore, we should primarily strive to achieve it. Take care of your work hygiene. Set goals for yourself to pursue while learning a piece. And each day note what you have achieved and what still needs improvement. Take care of your musical memory. If an important performance is approaching, check if you can at least play the left-hand part separately from memory. Devote your energy to expanding your imagination, which can help divert your attention from stress and tensions resulting from an upcoming performance. Read, watch, admire the world. Finally, such an obvious but nonetheless valuable remark. After each performance, try to make a small summary, both after a more successful and a less successful one. Establish what happened to you during the performance. What changes occurred in your mind? What changes occurred in your contact with the instrument? What can you do to react better on stage next time? What skills should I develop in the first place? Let's always try to draw conclusions and use them in our further work. They are the main engine of our development. Thank you very much.